Oh hey, Mark here. I am a professional artist, an art teacher, and I've been drawing longer than you've been alive. Unless you're older than 29, in which case it's not true at all. But it's still been a long time, so today I'll be redrawing my first digital painting that I did in 2004 to see if I improved. There's simply no way to know otherwise. More importantly though, probably, I'll be critiquing the crap out of my old self as I go over the various improvements that I'll be making. I'm excited. Did I get better? Or did I get worse? Let's find out. Alright, so this is where I'll be starting from. So I think a little bit of context is appropriate here. So like I said in the intro, this was my first drawing that I did digitally. But really it was just, pencil line drawing that I scanned and colored in Photoshop. That's how it was back in the days, kid. Of course, I was 17 then, so it wasn't my first traditional drawing. I've been drawing since I was like 4 or 5. It's also good to keep in mind that I got a job as a concept artist just 2 years later, so I wasn't a complete beginner. But boy, do I remember the struggle with this one, as the first ever drawing I took to Photoshop without a tablet, because poverty, and using a mouse to color. And yeah, back in the days, that was the best I could do, both in terms of drawing and coloring. That was my max level. Today, I feel like I've surpassed this quite a bit, and to test myself, I'll be redrawing it from scratch to the best of my ability. But yeah, I'll set a timer. So I'm going to give myself 15 hours for this, because I could practically go on and, keep rendering forever now. But ain't nobody got time for that. So 15 hours it is, and all the while I'll be explaining my artistic decisions. What am I going to change? Am I going to change anything? A little bit? Everything? We'll find out. Oh, and later in the video I'll be starting a new art challenge you can participate in. So keep watching to know all the details. Alright, so this is going to be structured in 3 parts. First, I'll talk about the line art itself, then the colors, then the rest of the polish. So, line art first, and let's just dive right into it. So, the first thing that I noticed with this drawing here was the pose. Of course, this is, back then my poses were very static, up until recently actually. And so it's only been a little while that I've been practicing a lot more anatomy, a lot more dynamic poses, foreshortening, that kind of stuff. And that was definitely missing with the original art here. My proportions, for the character, anatomy-wise, it was kind of okay. The arms were a little bit too long, definitely. If you look at the distance between the shoulders and the elbows, definitely too long. So I'm going to be adjusting that. But overall, my anatomy was all right. It was really just the pose that was kind of bad. And so yeah, I'm redoing it. Something that makes a little bit more sense. Something that allows us to see the character in action with her big gun. Because yeah, the original, it's an interesting design maybe, but she's really not selling the concept. So having her shoot the damn thing instead was probably going to make a little bit more sense. And then when it comes to just her design overall, she looks kind of like a clown. So there was a couple of things that I really wanted to redo. And just in terms of shape language, hers was very weak. There's just all sorts of different elements in there, and nothing really worked together. It's just random. It's just chaos. Like, she entered a store and she just grabbed a bunch of stuff, didn't try it on, and then just bought that. Which is why the outfit is changing quite a bit, as you can see. So particularly like the dress. It was really, really chaotic what was going on here. Very not practical. And so I just kind of reused the same elements. I picked a few of the design components that were in the original designs, kind of like the pointy bits, like the little triangles on the knee pad, and went with that. So I made this whole concept, like the main shape language, be a triangle. And so that's why you'll see the triangle shape kind of come back all over my design. And a lot of what I did really overall was just to simplify things. So when there was too much detail in one area that didn't really warrant it, I just combined them. Like the chains around her neck, it didn't really make a whole lot of sense. And in my new pose, it wouldn't work that well, so I just got rid of it. But yeah, even then, I tried to maintain the same overall design. And this is what I have right now. So beyond what I already mentioned, I also made the knee pad a little bit bigger because, yeah, this one is kind of too small to be useful at all. And so yeah, I just committed to it. This random knee pad, but let's just roll with it, and made the eyes kind of similar to the triangle shapes that I have everywhere else. I also redesigned the gun quite a bit. Got rid of those weird cables that were kind of hanging there for no reason, because I figured, especially like the little things here, little capsules, kind of pointless. It looks like the power is coming from her anyways, and so I was wondering like where are all these cables connected to. Don't ask me. I know I made the design, but I have no idea. So I got rid of those for the most part, but instead kind of rearranged them around the gun itself in the form of some sort of tubes, pipes. So now she's still going to be having this little thing here on her stomach, and that is going to be the source of her power. So she is the source. She doesn't need to have little extra capsules for it. She can just channel her power through her arm, and she just kind of grabs whatever the handle that's in here, and then she uses the other arm to hold it like a chainsaw, and then she blasts away. I also got rid of the like the Britney Spears haircut there. And so yeah, give her something that's a little bit more fitting of the action. But overall, you can see the rest is very similar. So similar shirts. We're gonna get the stripes back in there as well. Instead of getting those 3 layers for the dress or the skirt, I just switched that to 1 layer. So just 1, and then instead of a belt, she's got all this little thing here that acts as a belt. So this is going to be the one that's red and gold. Should work just as well. And modified her stockings so that they're a little bit more regular, a little bit more practical. And yeah, overall, I feel like this is much better. I'm way happier with this. So let's move on to colors real quick. Now looks a little bit more similar. With the colors added, I think you can see the choices that I made a little bit more obviously. So once again, you know, the skirt overall looks similar from a distance. It reads about the same, but up close it's just a little bit more just logical, or I should say practical. And just like with the design itself, I've also simplified the colors. Went for a more typical kind of color harmony, so triads, right? So blue, red, yellow, typical triads. In here, the main thing that wasn't working as well was the addition of the green. And now you're gonna point out to my own drawing here and be like, well, you also have green in the new one. Yes, but not for long. And the main reason here why I wanted to simplify some of those colors is to first better guide the eye, and also not make the whole thing look like a rainbow. Once again, less is often more when it comes to design. Yeah, otherwise looks fairly similar. But now, how do we take this to the next level? So let's start with the background. So this is the first thing that I did. I wanted something that was similar, that was kind of moody to match the character, because she looks pretty aggressive. Oops. Right? She looks pretty pissed off. And it makes sense. She's got a big gun. I don't think somebody nice would have a big gun like this. And similar to the original, I wanted to maintain this darker background with a little bit of smoke and particles in here. But yeah, before I couldn't do backgrounds at all. So that's why I just did smoke. And also treating the background in a painterly way like this with a mouse. Yeah, that would have been a little bit hard. But yes, to be fair, not a whole lot of thought went into this. I just wanted to draw a night scene so that I could have more intense lighting of the character and some sort of backlight. So I figured having a scene like this would fit quite well. And then let's activate the layer that has all the light information on it. And you'll see a pretty big jump. Here we go. Click. So with the shading on, it's starting to look a little bit better. And with this illustration here, I wanted to do a lot of the things that I couldn't do before, right? That was the whole point, showing the progress. And so some things that I could definitely not do before was painting any sort of light onto my character. So I was okay in doing like self-shading. You know, there's a little bit of shading here. So the top of the shoulder is a little bit brighter than the area here in the armpit. So there is some self-shading, same thing with the legs here. But if I were to ask you, where's the light coming from in this scene? From here? From there? From this side? I don't know. It's impossible to tell because there's no direction to the light. So in here, I really wanted to do something that is not like that, and went for of course, a backlight back here as the moon. So this is going to allow me to have these kinds of reflections here on the jacket, on the hair, and at the same time, this will make a little bit more sense in my scene where everything is a little bit more like this little blue tint, because of the night light, the light of the moon. Then I have another light source that's coming kind of from this angle here, lighting her up the most. But it's more of a spotlight, so it's not affecting the face, not affecting the leg. It's really just this area of the body, again, to create a more dramatic look. I really like the fact that her eyes are super shiny, and when you have shiny eyes in the shadows, you know, this is how they portray a lot of the evil characters usually in like in cartoons and films, animes. So I went with the same logic. Yeah, I think it looks kind of cool. And then the main challenge with this one light here was to draw the shadows. So, you know, this arm here casts a little bit of shadow, or actually this one doesn't. The gun itself though does, and this is what you'll see over here. So mostly cast shadow on the leg. Then you'll have like the cable the cable with the pipe and the hand holding the gun. This is going to be the arm shadow, and then the little piping here, that would be those details right there. Not 100% accurate, but I think it's kind of believable. And then another one, last one, very subtle, but you'll notice it on the legs. So this light emerald color, and that is going to be coming from the energy beam of the gun. So we don't have that in here yet, but I'm getting ready. So this is also why you have the kind of like light green highlights on the metal here for the knee pads, and on a little bit on the red. Not everything is sparkling, not everything is super vibrant. And I think it makes the entire image a little bit easier to read. Right there, I don't know if you can tell, but your eye should be bouncing around the whole place the whole time. First, what I see is this area of the body, which makes no sense, because that's definitely not the focal point of it. But at the same time, our eye is always attracted to detail, to saturation, to contrast. And we get a lot of that in this area. So that's why this was a failure in that sense, and why this one here works a little bit better. We have a lot of contrast around the face, and so our eyes automatically kind of go there first and then travel through the rest of the image to appreciate the rest of the details, hopefully. Which brings me to the last step, which is going to be the final polish and all the effects. So let's enable it. Oh, click. So not a whole lot different, but at least now things make a little bit more sense. You know, we can see this gun, what it actually does. It's a lighting gun, and along with it, I've also added a little bit of light here, kind of subtle God rays coming down from the top right corner of the screen to indicate the light source. So now I think it makes this light source a little bit more obvious. But you can see, other than that, it's mostly just highlights on the metals. So the final highlights, we have particles in the air, either dust or just sparkles from the gun itself. And of course, I made sure to add back her glowing tattoo on her stomach. Once again, I kind of adjusted the design for it, keeping in mind that more triangular shape language that I've got going on. Now, to be honest, I don't know that this tattoo, this glowing thing here, works all that well. It definitely works better now that it's blue, so there's fewer colors in the entire piece, right? It's not this additional green. Now it's really just typical triads, and I feel like overall the image is definitely more successful. And while I wouldn't recommend zooming in too much, right, it's still pretty rough, and this is what I meant by the 15-hour limit. So I hit it, and I wish I could have kept going just a little bit longer, because there were a couple of things in here that, you know, it's polished, but not that polished. And that's something that I would have definitely done if, you know, this was like client work, but it's not. And it's just personal art, so that will do. And one last thing was to adjust the background. So the background, it works right now. It's not so bad, but I definitely made a couple of adjustments, and you'll see, just to reveal the silhouette of my character a little bit better. Because right now, you know, around the leg here on this part kind of gets lost in the background, so that's not good. This area also share very similar value, so tweaked the background just a little bit, made things a bit brighter in some areas. You can see here now the silhouette of the character is very clear. Oh, and really quickly, another focus here that I didn't mention yet was the treatment of the material. So that's where most of the polish usually goes towards, making sure that metals read like metals, that flesh reads like flesh, and so on. So this is something that I definitely paid a lot of attention to, especially compared to before, where, yeah, the materials were just kind of all the same, very shiny. And how much room is there for improvement? Well, there's a lot of room for improvement, and a lot of it will have to do in just my brush stroke management. There's a lot of waste in here. So these tiny brush strokes, I really didn't need to do that. That could have been just one big brush strokes if I had planned things properly. So this is the kind of stuff that comes with more experience. You know, as I do more and more of these big paintings like this, I'll get even better with my brushstroke management in terms of the overall design, like the treatment of the folds. Maybe could have been improved here, make them a little bit more aesthetic. So in the end, am I happy with the result? Yeah, I'm pretty happy. I think it's a significantly better product overall on every level, and it was a really fun experience and a cool opportunity to really test myself and push myself a little bit more than I usually do. So now, just like I promised at the beginning of the video, it's challenge time! And you probably know where this is going, but yeah, the challenge will be to do the same thing. So find your first colored drawing. It doesn't have to be digital, can be traditional as well. This was my first full color drawing, believe it or not. Before, I had been just basically just doing line art, a little bit of painting too, traditional painting, but it was always environments and stuff like that, so never a full character. Anyways, who cares? Find your first colored drawing, as long as it's been more than a year since you did it, and redraw it and post it on social media using the hashtag RedrawChallenge2020. In a future video, I don't know exactly when, but it'll be in a few weeks, I'll pick some of my favorites from the hashtag on social media, and I'll feature them in the video. This was my own challenge here to get the ball rolling, and as usual, challenge or not, if you follow any of my tutorials, if you use my brushes for anything, tag me on social media. I always appreciate it. You don't have to, but it makes me happy. And so even if I don't pick your entry for the next video, there's a good chance I'll pick it for a repost or a retweet on my social media accounts. So that is going to be a wrap for today. I know this wasn't a tutorial, but if you like the format, you know how to let me know. This video might do good or might do terrible. I have no idea, but it doesn't matter. I had a lot of fun making it, and I hope that it was entertaining to watch. And on that note, I will see you next time.